I got promoted and took my dad's money. I've worked for the same restaurant chain since I was legally allowed to work at 16. At first it was just a part-time job to make money while in high school. At 18 I ended up transferring to a location a few hours away where I was going to college and got promoted to supervisor. After a semester I ended up dropping out of school due to the effects it was having on my mental health. I've never been very motivated by money, just want to pay my bills and have a simple life with good friends and family nearby. So I decided to stick with this company and continue to work my way up until I could manage my own location. Ever since I dropped out of college though, my dad took every opportunity to try and persuade me to do something more serious with my life. He's always been very motivated by money, so it's hard for him to understand why I don't feel the same way. Which I could understand to some extent, but after 2 years of every single conversation with my dad ending in an argument over my career choice, it had heavily impacted our relationship. It's very demeaning being constantly reminded that you're wasting your life or not being responsible, even though I was in my own apartment with my own car at just 18 years old. We didn't have a healthy relationship to begin with, so this added disagreement just made me even more resentful. So, one day I finally had the opportunity to move out of state where a lot of my extended family lived, along with being promoted to assistant manager at this new location. When I told my dad this, he begged me to look for another job. He said he was embarrassed by my profession and wished he could post about my accomplishments like my siblings. He ended up offering me $2,000 if I found a job that would pay me $14 an hour or more. Generous, yes, but I'd rather have a dad who supports me or at least doesn't belittle me, you know? Anyway, I texted the manager I had been in contact with about my transfer to ask if we could discuss my pay. I convinced her to increase the offer from $13.75 to $14.25. I told my dad I had gotten an offer for more than $14 and asked for the $2,000 as it was time for me to put down my deposit/first rent for my new apt. He said he would eventually, but that technically he never clarified when he had to pay me. He had plenty of money but was always stingy with it. I told him I'd just ask my grandma for a loan since he wasn't following through and I'd use his money to pay her back eventually. Of course he didn't want our family to know he was being a jerk, so he sent me the money. Afterwards, he asked me about my new job, to which I said I'm not getting a new job, I'm just getting a raise. I could hear the steam coming out of his ears over the phone. He started yelling and demanding I send back the money, but I told him, well, you're right, you never clarified when you'd have to pay up, but you also never clarified that the wage I needed had to come from a different job. I hung up and kept the money. We didn't talk for a while and still hardly talk now. It's amazing what this green flammable piece of paper does to people.